Thanks, guys. Well, we've dealt with the first climb today. It's of very little consequence, but here we are. Velits, Rubiano, Terpstra, Durasek, Cummings, Gautier. All of those names, very, very decent combatants for a day such as this. Cyril Gautier, overdue a win. Off to AG Tour Le Mondial for Europe car. We have BMC represented yet again, as you can see. They have been reasonably busy. This is a little bit earlier on today. We've got Rubiano, who's in the break today as well. We have Velits, who's been up the road too. Durasek is also here. Steve Cummings. Well, there's a man to conjure with. Steve Cummings taking a Tour de France victory, of course, into ahead and breaking the hearts, indeed, of many a Frenchman into Mende or Monde earlier on. Nicky Terpstra, good time trialist, national champion, of course, as you can see, of the Netherlands. Martin Velits, who also at the top of this race. And, of course, BMC, we have the man who took the leader's jersey right at the top of this race, courtesy of the fact, Peter Velits, courtesy of the fact that he wore that red jersey. So Terpstra, sorry for the confusion earlier, Peter Velits from BMC, Rubiano from Colombia, Durasek from Lampre, Steve Cummings and Cyril Gautier. That is a very, very handy series of escapees. They can make it all the way. They have a gap of 3 minutes and 15. The thing is, they're a long way out, but there's a long descent coming up, which will introduce us to the final climb of the day and that technical finish we've been looking forward to. Welcome back. Just 48.3 kilometres left of over 200 today. It's a long day, but if you think that meant that they were going to take it easy, then think again. It took well over an hour for the opening break to be established. Adam Hansen had tried it and lost out, and everyone was packed together and a little bit nervous. And then after 60 kilometres of racing, finally 5 riders went for it. The man who bridged over to them was Rubiano of Team Colombia. And as you can see right now, Movistar have joined Giant in the chase. They are closing down. The maximum gap was approaching the 5-minute mark, but it's down to 2 minutes and 42 off the climb. Now, they're on a plateau at the moment. It does waver a little bit, so it goes up and down, pitches and tosses, as it were, until we finally start our descent. If you strip out, if you take from where the KOM was actually red, all the way down to the start of what is the incline that takes us to the line, we have 32 kilometres of gradual descending. It gets more focused in about 10 k's time, and then when we're 23 k's from home, we start climbing again, albeit with some rolling terrain to deal with, until we get to an extremely focused finish. The finish itself, 8 to 10%, 3 k's from home. It flattens out with 2 k's to go, and the last kilometre is technical and nasty. It whips the road all over the place. Tom Dumoulin is our leader. He wears the red jersey. Yesterday found a gap, and in fact it was supposed to be Degenkolb's day. They were disappointed, Giant Alpecin, that John Degenkolb didn't make it for a stage win, but Tom Dumoulin took the leader's jersey, leads by a solitary second ahead of Orica Green Edge's Esteban Chavez. Chavez himself a little disappointed, but Orica Green Edge absolutely delighted because Caleb Ewan came through to take the stage win. So mixed emotions for Orica, mixed for Giant Alpecin, and a mixed day today. Sort of flat, pacey, rolling, couple of pitches as well to deal with. You've got to be a jack of all trades if you're going to succeed today, Sean Kelly.
Well, I think it's a special stage. The question is, will some of the sprinters make it? We did hear Antonio Fletcher talking about it, and that will depend on how they ride. If they really ride aggressive and go very fast in the final, well, then I think it will make it more difficult for the guys to hang in there. It's not that difficult, but as we know, a mountaintop finish or a hilltop finish, let's call it today, if it's really fast racing, well, then it will be a difficult one. The question is, will some of the teams take it up and I would be looking at Sky. Nicholas Roach is very close there to getting into race leadership. It might be the opportunity, and if they put it, a number of riders in the front, when you look at the squad they have, well, then they could make it so difficult for everybody, and they will split the bunch big time if they do that. But if there's no action from the bigger teams, the general classification, then we could see a lot of riders making to the finish here today.
Well, we've got a Category 1 finish tomorrow. I don't know how much they want to keep in the bank. One thing has been certain, Sean, it's been a real mix. Every single day that we've thought, oh, this will be the sprinters. No, the climbers come through. Time trialists have had a good time. Everyone's got an opportunity, it seems, day by day. It's hard to predict how these things are going to go. And when you look at our breakaway, we've got a proper mix as well. Gautier, a climber, Steve Cummings, a poncher, Nicky Terpstra, a time trialist, Rubiano, maybe one for the Alpine stages, Peter Velits, who took the red jersey early on. Good mix, but also a good deal of quality in the break, I think.
Yes, well, there's good quality in the break, and looking 2:45 at the moment at 46 kilometres. Looking at the front of the bunch here, it looks that Giant are going to control and try and keep it to the minimum, and then in the final they will be hoping that there'll be a lot of teams take it up and this breakaway will come back. For the moment, depending on how good they are up front here, our leading group, the 6 men, if they're still very strong, they could go a long ways into this finish. But as we see, a lot of the time it depends on the peloton. If they start to race a long ways out, well, then this gap will come down very quickly. But will that happen today? And that's the good thing about bike racing. You just never know. As a general classification man out there, you always have to be just ready to react, because we could see a very fast final if there's one of the big teams who push it on and really up the speed in the final climb of the day.
I can't wait. Durasek there for Lampre in the pink and blue. Won the Tour of Turkey this year, the 28-year-old from Croatia. He's pretty handy. Won a stage in the Tour of Switzerland as well, so he's on form. Steve Cummings, you know about, won stage 14 into Mende. Broke a few hearts. Sixth that day was Cyril Gautier. He's moving to AG Tour Le Mondial, and frankly, he's overdue a win. He's good in the mountains. The sort of peaks that we're dealing with later on, 10% inclines, won't trouble Gautier at all. Steve Cummings is a very big, powerful man who can nick it, as we saw, stole it and broke the hearts of the French. Pinot and Bardet, heads bowed when Cummings crossed the line in Mende, up on the airfield there. Rubiano, the Colombian, never discount him. He's going very, very well indeed. Durasek, the aforementioned from Lampre, he was on the break in stage 4, so he's looking for this. He's hungry for it. He's in the break again. Nicky Terpstra, the man who, of course, you know him from Paris-Roubaix fame. He's very, very good, the Dutch champion, and he's good in this sort of company as well. Looking at the back end of Steve Cummings right now as Rubiano just calling for sustenance, I think. A little bit of a bunny hop as the camera just jarred there. Peter Velits took red on the opening day for BMC. He was the first rider to cross the line when they won the team time trial. So, as you can hear from all that list, and what a great list of success and desire it is, we've got a proper mix and we've got a proper chance of a breakaway making it all the way today. 2 minutes and 45 seems to be holding steady as we come through these towns and just inexorably head towards what will be a descent. This is Ubeda we're in right now. There's a little downhill and then a nasty kick, and a proper nasty kick, and I think the first chance to see how their legs are today, that will be at about the 165k marker of the day, which to my mind will be with about 37 to go. So in about 5 to 7 kilometres time, we're going to see a proper test, and we'll see how minded they are to take it on. There's the red numbers on the back of Ilio Kaiser. Brave effort by him yesterday. He's a tough guy, and he's got some reward with the Combativity Award. He's just having a chat back to base. Quite often you get riders in Grand Tours, when they appear on screen, DSs get in touch and start teasing them, and they usually have a joke back. So if you're wondering why, we always seem to catch them on the radio. That's the reason why.
What are you doing sitting on the rear?
Get your backside up towards the front right now. Yeah, so you get found out on telly. We'll take a break. Back in a moment. Welcome back. Looks like the sting has been taken out of the chase at the moment. 40.8 kilometres to go. There is Tom Dumoulin, our leader, by just a solitary second, but great leader it is as well. He's the man that crashed out of the Tour de France. Got an injured shoulder. Everyone thought he was going to have surgery. He didn't, and I think that's aided his recovery. And Sean, as you were saying, he had a great preparation for the Tour de France. and he's sustained his form, but for how long?
Well, that is the question. Of course, he went out to the Tour de France very early in that big crash on day 3, so he had a good rest period, and I reckon he would have just knocked it off for a while, took a bit of rest, and then went to altitude training, which we heard about, and he's come back and in excellent shape in this race. It should stand to him. Freshness should be there, because not doing all of the Tour de France, that is a big thing, where some of the other riders, I think we will see some of them in the final week, they will start to suffer because of that effort in the Tour de France. So Dumoulin is fresh, and it's a question now how far he'll go, and I think he's capable of doing a top 10 certainly. How much better he can do, that is the question. We've seen him in the last number of years, and certainly this year in the Tour of Switzerland, very impressive in the mountain stages, so I'm looking forward to this race to see what he can do in the end of the race.
We'll see.
Dani Moreno, en el papel es un día interesante
Dani Moreno,
para
it's an interesting day for Joaquin Rodriguez, or maybe for you, but it's not such a hard time along the way, not a hard finish, he says, as we'd expect. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be such a hard finish, but with the kilometres we have today, the heat, the route and the curves, the technicalities talking about at the end, it can become a hard finish. So who knows? It'll not be the best of days for Perito, or indeed for me, but it's also a complicated day for others, and we'll just have to see who controls the race today. It will be difficult to control, he says. Well, will you also keep some strength for tomorrow's stage? It's a good question from Laura. Well, that question, he says, is the question. I believe that all the teams will have it in their mind. It's a day for a breakaway arrival, and it doesn't end with a breakaway, then even better. Thank you very much, says Laura. It's true, Sean, tomorrow is the first real climbing test as we go to Capillera. We have a Category 1 finish to end the day. It's going to be a real toughie. How much will they want to keep in reserve, the whole peloton today, and does that mean the breakaway have a great chance? Well, that is the big question, and there's a lot of the teams will want to keep the lid on things today, keep your powder dry for tomorrow, but there's teams there as well who are very much in a good position, and we can see like Sky, with Nicholas Roach, they could maybe push on, and we know Sky are known for that in the first stages, when there's a little bit of a mountain, and we call it a little one today, they go for it on the first day. We did see it in the Tour of France, Chris Froome, that's what he did. He really crushed the opposition on the first day. It was a bigger mountain stage, so will they do something today? Will they wait for tomorrow? I think that's the question a lot of the general classification men's teams are thinking, but yeah, you never know. You just have to be there in the final, and I think some will be hoping that it will be an easier day, but others maybe they have another objective, another plan, another tactic. Well, we're heading to Torre Perojil. There you are, I've been practicing. Now this has got, we're just about to hit a little tiny test. In fact, I think we may well have already done it. Yes, we have, in fact. And they don't seem that tuckered out. 2 minutes and 28. Now, you may think, oh, they're being caught. Well, you just wait. In a few moments' time, a proper descent will reveal itself, and we're going to have a bit of pace. It's going to allow the breakaway of only 6 riders to put some strength back in their legs, and then they'll take on the final test of the day. Now, if you count all the uphill roads as starting at 23 kilometres from home, we'll roll through the intermediate sprint and then take on the nasty test at the end. The breakaway do have a great chance, but the gap holding kind of steady at the moment. Welcome back. So let's go descending, shall we? And the breakaway have just retrieved some of the time that they lost a little bit earlier on the plateau. Sort of a rolling plateau, and as you can see, the gap is continuing to sort of go out. It was about 2 minutes and 20 when we went on the break. Can't really decide what the timings are, as you can see. So a little bit of transponder bouncing all over the place. I think this is a question of how much effort these teams are prepared to put in. Movistar and Giant Alpecin are the ones that are doing most of the work, but as you can see, Orica Green Edge just keeping their powder dry and maybe thinking of doing something a little later on. So what have we got to deal with right now? Cyril Gauthier has taken the King of the Mountains points so far today. Gauthier ahead of Miguel Angel Rubiano and Christian Durasek. And so it's about now that the proper descent begins. An easier line for the breakaway. and this is going to go on for quite some time. It will be about 17 k's of descending, so almost a pleasant relief, Sean, after what's been a very, very long day. And it's warm today as well.
Yes, well, it is warm. We're getting forecast there, temperatures up to 35 degrees. That is getting warm. We did see the last number of days a little bit cooler, 28 at the start, and then going up to 32. So it is creeping up. Yesterday as well, at the finish, it was much warmer than I think forecast. They were giving a number of degrees lower, but it was very warm, and that is going to certainly affect a lot of riders, some more than others. But again, I think everybody will be a little bit suffering in the end of the stage, and when you have a climb in the end, that's where it gets difficult. The body will start to get overheated, and some maybe get totally overheated, but it's going to be an interesting stage, and we can see the gap is just holding at the moment.
Well, to Michael Landa, today another interesting day in this Vuelta. We didn't have an opportunity to talk before. How are you feeling? He says, I came here with some doubts, but I see myself in the front, so it gives me confidence. I'm in good shape, best shape I have been for a couple of weeks. How's the stage today then? You're going to have to face this before the mountain stage tomorrow. Warm weather will be important today. Some riders are more used to it than others. We might see some of the effects today, but we'll see it in the next few days as well. It's always hard to recover from heat, he says. You said that you were coming here and also fighting for stage victory. Do you feel motivated? What's going to happen for the next couple of days? I'm always motivated for it, he says. There's a lot of rivalry. The stages do suit me, though. Those that come later, even more so. And if I'm among the first positions in the GC in the next days, then I'm going to be rather satisfied. There's plenty of others as well who've got some options, but Landa, part of Astana, after Nibali has gone, if Aru fails, it's all pressure on Landa and maybe Luis Leon Sanchez as well.
Well, I think Landa will be the man after Fabio Aru, as the main man is gone, Vincenzo Nibali, so it's going to be an interesting one. Aru, certainly he will be the leader, but we did see Mikel Landa in the Giro this year, very, very impressive. So he's going to be, the man in reserve there. The question is, with him leaving the team, will he be used totally as a domestique, or will he be given the opportunity to go for stage victories? I think if he gets half opportunity to go for stage, he feels good, he will do that, and he is capable of on these hilltop finishes. And one like today, he's the one who could try something if he goes away in a group or goes alone in the attack in the final number of kilometres.
Sean, we're not going to be climbing again until we get to 23 kilometres to go. What sort of gap does the breakaway need with this mix of talent to make it?
2.5 minutes.
2.5 minutes. Well, right now they've got 2 minutes and 27, so they're 3 seconds shy of what you need. If the last man from the breakaway loses out by 3 seconds, we'll be calling you a genius. 2 minutes and 11 now. So, mind you, the clock's bouncing, as you can see, but it looks like that gap is shrinking just a little bit with 30.9 to go. So Sean says they need 2.5 minutes. We'll see whether they get that by the end, and the clock's decided to run back the other way. They're teasing us, Sean. Likewise, the breakaway are teasing the pack right now.
Yes, well, I think we did see there at the front of the peloton is going at a very fast rate, over 70 kilometres per hour on the downhill there, and it looks like that Team Giant are just starting to up the pace there. They have a number of riders, the big rollers, Stamp Snyder we did see there, Frolinger also just on the front, and the man from Movistar, the Australian rider Rory Sunderland, he's doing a lot of work on the front, and we can see there he's just flicking the elbow out, getting the other riders to take the pole pretty quickly as well, and it looks like the gap is coming down under 2 minutes, flashing up over 2 minutes now. It's 2 minutes and 4, so it's hopping about quite a lot the last number of kilometres.
Yeah, the timekeepers can't decide what to do with it at the moment. We have been racing for 170 kilometres in 35-degree heat, wide open, no breeze. It's it's a punishing environment to take your bike.
Yes, it is punishing, and I think you could see the answer to that is Peter Vellet's up there in front from BMC Racing. We could see, you know, the salt on his jersey, and that tells you like how much those riders are sweating out there. When you see the stain salt on the jersey of a lot of riders, it tells that they are just suffering a lot. And we can see here on the front, one line of riders. I think this pace is just starting to go up and up, and it's stretching the bunch out.
There we are. We'll see how much legs the breakaway have got by the time they reach the dip and start to climb again. It now says 1 minute and 36, and if that gap is correct, then it is closing dramatically to our breakaway with 29.2 kilometers to go. Well, Caleb Ewan lost out on the jersey. He's potentially got a chance to sorry, I beg your pardon, Esteban Chavez lost out on the jersey. He's got a chance to make amends today. Caleb Ewan, a sprinter, won't really be a feature. Likewise, Nasser Bouhanni today. The man who is our new leader, who is, of course, Dumoulin, Tom Dumoulin. Don't be surprised if he's in a decent spot up there, but there are plenty of other riders around him in the general classification, and the gaps are not huge. So I think we're going to have quite a bit of action today. We shall see. At the top of the leaderboard, Sean, lots of teams with lots of options.
Yes, well, when you look at the top of the general classification, all the big men are up there. The question is today, will we see some fireworks, or will it be all for tomorrow?
True enough. Welcome back. Our breakaway, as you can see, they're just driving into some of the descents we've got here. Car being gladly used for a little bit of aero, as you can see, pick up a little bit of pace. And it is our friend from Lamprey who just heads for the team car. Christian Durasek, the 28-year-old, took the tour of Turkey, did a great job. There is Steve Cummings, the man who broke French hearts into Monde. Just also taking a bottle from, not Brian Smith, he's on holiday in Turkey, I can tell you. But yes, from MTN Quebec, Cyril Gauthier just taking the nose right now with the gap 150 with 25 Ks to go. In 2 kilometers time we start climbing, and we don't really stop. There's a couple of little downhill ramps, but we're just going higher and higher. Elevation gain will be from about 500 meters, finishing today at over 900 meters. It will take us 23 Ks to deal with all of that. So how will they go? You're going to have to stay tuned to find out. But as we head over these orange groves right now, and olive groves as well, these are oranges incidentally, you can see that virtually no movement at all in any of the foliage. It's a hot, steamy day, and the action is going to match that. The gap's just going back out, bouncing back out towards the 2-minute marker now.
TJ Van Garderen, we haven't had the chance yet to speak with you this Vuelta a España. We wonder, how are you feeling these first days of race?
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting into the rhythm quite well. We have a couple of hard days ahead of us, so I think we'll find out more where everyone's form's at. But yeah, so far I feel pretty good.
How are you dealing with the heat, especially yesterday and today, and the stress of the first days as well?
Yeah, it's, the heat's certainly a factor. It's not something that I particularly like, but I feel like I'm dealing with it okay. The first days they've been a bit stressful, but it's all in all, I'm enjoying the experience here, and I think it's gone quite well.
Today on the paper looks like it's an uphill finish, but it's not as hard as maybe it looks. What can we expect from you and from the team today?
Yeah, I think it'll be similar to a couple days ago when Valverde won. So maybe Movistar. Today maybe looks like a good day for a breakaway, but we have to see what happens, who controls. But yeah, we just have to try to stay close, not lose time, and be still in contention for the big summit finish tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Time gap just edging back up towards 1:45, as you can see. There was a little push, a little acceleration while we were away on the break by Movistar and Giant. I'm not sure whether they were testing anybody, but little gaps, fissures started to appear, And you can see that Europe car have come up. I'm not sure whether they're in blocking mode or whether Gautier is going to be used as a foil today, and maybe someone like Pierre Rolland might fancy having a dig. Pierre Rolland's 5 minutes and 23 down, by the way. Gautier, the best placed of the breakaway, at 3 minutes and 7. A lot of you are saying that you've seen disc brakes. Roger Jean has written in. Paul Wright as well. Rate, I beg your pardon. WRAIGHT, thanks Paul. Yeah, there are some disc brakes out there. We've spotted a couple. Michael Iritzar from Trek Factory Racing is one of those who's got them on board. Sean Teen's allowed to test with them.
Yes, that is the UCI regulation that the teams can test towards the end of the year. I think it's 2 races during the end of season from the Tour of France, I think the date was. I'm not exactly sure on that, but you can use them for 2 days. Again, that rule, I'm not sure if everybody in the team has got used them or just a number of riders, but it is the trial period right up to the end of the year, and it's going to be interesting to see what the reaction will be, because you can talk as much as I like about disc brakes, using them in sportive events, leisure riding, but it is in the competition that's where you get the real test.
There we are. Breakaway still out there, minute and a half. Welcome back. Arch Vistas, 20.8 kilometres to go. They've been riding very, very fast today. In fact, the first 60 kilometres was really at breakneck pace, really, for the sort of distance that we had to deal with today, over 200 kilometres. And in fact, they were averaging 48, 50 kilometres per hour for the first hour. They weren't in a happy place, I don't think, while they were trying to sort this out. Well, we did get our breakaway finally established, and it's, as you can see, reasonable firepower as well. 6 riders up the road. The gap, minute and 24, has not really been a great deal of change. Interestingly, Europe car have come up here. I think they're looking after Pierre Rolland, despite the fact they've got a man in the brake, Cyril Gautier. We're going to be welcoming back our entire Europe Sport family before you know it, but in the meantime, there is the leader of the King of the Mountains jersey competition, and he will be still in that jersey, Freire, at the end of today, because they're both categorised 3 today, which only brings a maximum points of 6 points to the Mountain Goat. And it is the Goat, Gautier, who's taken the first KOM of the day. If he wins the one at the end of the day, he'll be our stage winner, because it is at the finish line. Just over 20 kilometres to go. The gap, just over a minute now, a minute and 15. Sean, they've been working very well together. When are they going to lose heart? When the cars go through, or do you think they've still got a chance? Could they up the tempo?
Well, I think when the cars go by, that means that the peloton is getting very close, and the race commissars push the cars ahead. But at the moment, this 115, it's changing a lot, and it looks like, it's the 115 at the moment. Again, they're still working well together, and depend on how good some of them are in the breakaway. We have some really good finishers here, and we're inside the final 20 kilometres. But when you see it coming down now, 112, so that tells that the advantage is dropping off quickly. But are they just waiting out front until they get a bit closer to the finish, maybe get inside the final 12 kilometres, and then somebody will really go for it? That is possible, because you have some serious riders in this breakaway who could go and really push up a big battle. But again, I think, yes, up front it looks like Giant are very much set on controlling this and trying to hold on to race leader Jens.
I wouldn't even be surprised if we see the race leader, Tom Dumoulin, skipping up some of the inclines. He certainly did that into Caminito. That was a huge surprise to everybody. Chavez, of course, took the day with Dumoulin. Then it was Nicolas Roche, Dan Martin, Rodriguez, Quintana, Froome were next that day with Valverde, Moreno and Aru. So the principals really came to the fore at Caminito. It was an uncategorised finish. Well, we'll see how they go today. It does have a classification. It's classified 3, but if you look at it, it's rather nasty, Sean. It has a real sting in the tail today. Yes,
well, it has a sting in the tail, and from 23 kilometres out, we can see here they're climbing a number of kilometres now, and that's where if you're out in front for a long time, very warm conditions, the body is starting to get weary, getting tired, and it's difficult to keep everybody working together, and also to keep a very strong pace. And With the peloton, if there is somebody who take it up, one of the teams who haven't been riding at all in the front, we've seen it's Giant Alpecin who is pushing on with Movistar. If there's other teams who start to really push on front with 2-3 riders, well then that minute plus advantage will come down very quickly.
Sky getting involved. This is for Nico Roche. Astana also getting involved. Don't want anything silly to happen. If one of the main principals goes for it, they want to be involved. They want to be at hand. Aru is here, so is Michael Lander, both very capable, of course, but it's a punchy old day today. Somebody's going to get beaten up. Not quite sure who it's going to be. Out of those who are in the lead, this race certainly starts to have a cost. When you've got the temperatures, as we've had today, 35, 37 Celsius, when you start to approach 40 degrees, it really does hurt. It's less than a minute, 58 seconds now to the break. Cars are going to be called out of the gap, and that means that it's going to start to tempt some to go for this, Sean. 18.5 to go. We're climbing. It's going to be like this for much of the rest of this stage, albeit with that horrible kick of 8 to 10% just 3 kilometres from home.
Yes, well, it does kick up and then it eases off a bit, maybe a little bit of downhill, as we can see here, the breakaway on a downhill section, and that's the way it is going to be for a long time, until very close to the finish, until we get inside that final 3 kilometres where it kicks up more serious. And with the 57-second advantage, there's a lot of teams going to be thinking, well, we can do something here, maybe we can get a stage victory, and that's where it's going to be complicated for the 6-man breakaway to hold on out.
Mark Lyford tells me they're olive groves, not orange groves. There we are. Normally the olives, they have nets to catch the fruit. But anyway, I'll go with you. I'm sure you've done proper research as to the fauna in this part of the world. Flora, beg your pardon. Sorry, Flora. 17.6 kilometres to go then, and they are looking a bit edgy, our breakaway. They're starting to look at each other, Sean. I think they may well, as we come to the approach, have been leaning on each other just a little bit, and somebody's going to have a go here, aren't they? Well,
if they start attacking each other, that's going to be the real killer for the breakaway. They have to work together, and we can see here everybody is, just doing their bit on the front, but looking around very quickly to get the rider in his slipstream to take it up, and that's what tells you that everybody is starting to suffer. Tiredness is there, but again, if they continue on working at this rate, they could hold on to this advantage for quite a long time. If they get inside that final 5 kilometres, with that 40 seconds advantage, they could be somebody who will be good enough to just go on. They will have definitely start attacking, when they get to the steeper sections, because automatically the breakaway will explode when they get to the more higher gradient.
There we are. Let's talk about the high gradients that we're going to be dealing with, because this is going to be over in about half an hour's time. A little bit less than that. 16.8 k's to go, but a lot of it pitching. The last 3 kilometres, a real nightmare. 8 to 10%. Now we're going to squeeze in one more commercial break, and then we'll be clean to the line. I'm sure that will please many of you. So a bit of a hiatus at the moment, so we're going to get that out of the way with, and then we'll have all the fireworks uninterrupted as we head in. Welcome back. The time dipped down into the 30s, about the half-minute mark. They called the cars out of the gap. Cyril Gauthier went to the front and put a bit more pace into the breakaway, almost encouraging them. They're looking at each other, Sean, and if they start to lean on each other, that's a form of attack, essentially. There's the 15 k's to go banner, and that'll come as welcome, and so will some of the little shade. Can they hold it together? They're starting to look a bit ragged. I'm not surprised after this sort of distance.
Yes, well, they are looking at each other a lot, and nobody wants to, give too much here, because I think there was thoughts maybe there are a number of kilometres further back the road they might be able to go a bit closer to the finish and hold on to the advantage. But you can see it's coming down now, 39 seconds still with 14.8 to go. It is doable, depending on what happened back in peloton. If they continue on setting the pace as they have been doing, with Giant Alpecin doing the big amount of the work, also Movistar have a man up there, and if they continue on tapping away at that, well, then this could hold on. But if there's an attack in the group at all, well, that's advantage of 34 at the moment, would come down very quickly, and it all depends in the end how much they have got out in front. Is there somebody really feeling strong? Gauthier, for example, is he capable of going from a number of kilometres out, 7-8 kilometres from the finish, if he's capable of doing that? But it will take a big performance for them to hold on out there.
Certainly will, because you can see the demeanour of the pack right now. What about Bart de Klerk, Thomas de Gent from Lotto Soudal? They've suddenly come up here with their red jerseys and black shorts, as you can see. Astana also getting interested and motivated. Movistar want one for Valverde. Why not another one? He took, of course, that run into Vejer, that little kick at the end. Won't exactly be pacey by the time we get there at the end of 200.3 kilometres, just over the 200 mark, 13.9 remaining. Veloviewer have just retweeted his map of the topography at the end of the day. And actually, he says that the kilometre between 3 to go and 2 to go is about 15.5%. Actually, going up it earlier, it certainly looked that way as the buildings sort of built into the hillside. You see the sort of angles that the architects have built into the stairways. You'll see it. It's certainly going to be a kick in the pants, so you do need to be a proper mountain climber, essentially. But Steve Cummings, for a big man, can take those sort of ramps. He's done it before, Sean. Can Cummings do it again?
Well, if he gets to the finish with the other men from the breakaway, I think he's capable of doing it, but it looks like that there's a movement there, as we can see, a rider.
Yeah, it's Cataneo. So taking a tumble, yeah, yes, just a little bit of a touch.
We did see there on the with the breakaway, the Mavi car is being pushed out from behind the breakaway, and that's not a good thing for the riders. And we could see the riders when that was happening, they were looking around. We could see Steve Cummins immediately looking around to see what was the position behind. So that, you know, distracts them a bit, and they will lose the morale a bit when they see the cars being pushed on. That tells that the peloton is coming close.
Nice use of the local tractor display team, as you can see. And we look down and we see that the man who takes the nose right now is the Dutch champion Nicky Terpstra, stretching his legs out of the saddle. It's always an interesting one to see how long they stay out of the saddle and then jump back in, and then if they get back up out of the saddle and the incline doesn't change, it tells you they're uncomfortable. Nobody's comfortable today though, are they, Sean?
No, I don't think anybody's going to be comfortable. Certainly the guys in the breakaway here, when you've been out there in front, you're going to start tiring, it's natural. And back in the peloton, the riders who are on the front, of course, you know, they are in the same situation. Giant Albacin doing a lot of the work, and you know, the question is, the other riders, the big favourites, you know, are there some of those guys who are suffering a bit? But even if you're suffering a bit today, you should be able to get through. You know, if you've got that talent and you can just grit your teeth there and just hang in there. And with this finish today, you can do that. But will there be some of the riders that will, you know, lose contact? And as we can see here, the peloton is just still tapping away. Will it continue all that way? Difficult to see. I think there will be somebody now who will say, well, this breakaway is going to come back and they're going to have a go and start thinking about stage victories.
Rubiano it was that took the intermediate sprint. It's of no consequence. I suppose they may well amass some points later on, but the bonus seconds, 3, 2 and 1. Best placed man here is Cyril Gauthier, 3 minutes and 7 down. If he was a worry earlier on, it's certainly no longer, I don't think, the case, with 28 seconds now only separating them, with 11.8 to go. It's going to need an attack, and we've got one all of a sudden. Well, Rubiano it is that's gone off the nose right now, the Colombian. 30 years of age, and who's he tempted? Steve Cummings has joined him. They become a duo, and Cummings goes straight by him. Gauthier tries to respond. Gauthier just caught out. Cummings is going long with 11.5 to go. Brave stuff by him.
Yes, well, you know, once one attack is thrown in there, well, then there's other riders going to say, well, you know, I'm feeling good, I can do that, and they're just going to be, you know, a bit unorganised when they start attacking each other. And if you're really feeling good, well, then just go in the attack, put your head down, and try and trial as long as possible and see what will happen behind. And just under 30 seconds at the moment, with, you know, 11.3 to go. If you're on a real good day, you never know what you can do.
Steve Cummings did it into Mons. He broke the hearts of the French press. In fact, he didn't feature on the front of L'Equipe the following day. Was given over to the passing of a motorsport great, but yeah, nonetheless, one feels if the French riders had actually won that day into Mons, it would have been all over the front of the press. Katusha starting to get animated. Of course, Rodriguez in a nasty, testy ramp towards the end, but they've got other cards to play, like Lozada, maybe Moreno today. We'll see. 10.9 to go. It's 38 seconds. Maybe they're looking at each other as well. danger for the pack, Sean, is that they start dwelling. This is Nicky Terpstra now, the Dutch champion. Such high expectations, I presume, for him at the top of the day, and we're just seeing what sort of gaps are appearing, fissures, if you like, and it's Terpstra that's pushing on, just trying to edge back to these guys. There is Steve Cummings, and he has a look. Now, Nicky Terpstra is a very, very decent time trialist in his own right. He's got a trial over to Cummings. If they become a duo, it could be a very good one.
Yes, well, no better man than Nicky Terpstra, you know, a real strong powerhouse of a rider, and if they can get together and, you know, on the flatter sections, you push on, you could, you know, gain a few seconds or hold on certainly to the advantage. And we can see here, you know, 35 seconds all the time as we go close to 10 kilometers to go. Back in the peloton we could see Katusha coming to the front, but they were only just moving up to make to get into position, not really pushing on. It's Movistar who are the one seems to be setting the pace, but now we have Sky here who are in a line, 6 riders here, 7 riders together, and are they going to push on? It's a lot of teams just, you know, getting into a good position for the final 10 kilometres, but will they up the pace? And that is the question. We can see that, you know, the advantage for the breakaway still 46 seconds, looking good for the riders out in front for Steve Cummings.
Steve Cummings is the man who set this gap. It's 48 seconds right now, 9.7 kilometres to go. It's Nicky Terpstra who's coming over, bridging onto his back wheel. The other guys from the breakaway just appear to be slightly lost at the moment. We shall see. These guys have got a real demeanour about them. So 9.5 kilometres to go, but it's about the last 3, Sean. That's where it gets very, very serious today.
Yes, well, that is going to be the difficult one for Steve Cummings. If you ride, you know, give it 100% in the final 10 kilometres. So you have 7 kilometres where you're going to, you know, ride real hard, and then when you get into that difficult section with 3 kilometres to go, it's always very difficult to keep it going. You need to be, you know, very, very strong, and it's all about now how much strength they have got, the leaders out on the road.
9.1 to go, 46 seconds only, but that's to Cummings, and you'll see that the remnants of the breakaway are just about to be caught here as the peloton start to muster themselves. It's about Steve Cummings and whether he can get there, and whether Nicky Terpstra can bridge over to him. I think Cummings would probably be glad of the company, especially on this terrain. Yes,
well, it would be a huge importance if you had a rider with you, just to share the pace setting here, and somebody to give you a little bit of a respite, you know, 100 metres, and then you take up the pulling on the front again. When you have to do it on your own, as I said, that is always difficult when you get into the very difficult final. And it's interesting to see that Terpstra hasn't come across, so it doesn't look like he's going to make it, because again it's going to kick up very quickly, and if he hasn't made it in the last number of kilometres, well then difficult to see him doing it now.
8.8 to go. The gap to Cummings is 54 seconds. That's from the pack. There's Nicky Terpstra within the cars. Beg your pardon, that's looked like Retzer, beg your pardon, suffering. There you can see on your screen right now is what they got to deal with, and just look at that red section. It's pretty nasty. Velo Viewer providing us with this graphic, 15.5% as a max. We didn't realise it was quite so heavy. Didn't appear that way, about 10.5, but it's even worse than that. Steve Cummings has been up a ramp like that, albeit with a couple of hairs up the road for him to chase as a hound. He is a hound dog. Is he going to get the bone today?
Well, it's looking good all the time. We can see 56 seconds at the moment with just over 8 kilometres to go. For Cummings, you know, he's going to be out there in that final 10 plus kilometres, and that's where it's, you know, a big energy sapper to do that. When he won his stage in the Tour of France, of course, he came to the climb in a breakaway, a bit of an easier situation, but again, back in peloton we can see there's nothing you know, major pace-wise. They're just keeping control on the front of the peloton. A lot of teams appearing here, but nobody committing and giving anywhere near their 100%.
Interesting little hand signal there. I'm not quite sure who it was that was just leading for Astana there. I'm just looking at the pedal strokes, but it got team instructions: come back here and get yourself out of the wind, save your energies then. So that looks like a positive move essentially for Astana. They're hiding for the time being, just getting themselves out of the wind. Sky here, as you can see, and all of a sudden you're starting to look at some of the other boys here. What about Louis Meintjes for a day like this? The little guy can skip up an incline. If Steve Cummings can't do it, what a great foil for little Louis to have. And MT and Quebec are on the side of the road, left-hand side of the road. They could bridge, Sean.
Yes, well, they're going to just sit there and just see what happens and leave the other teams do the pace setting. And if it does come down, but it's looking, you know, as we go further into the stage, looking better all the time. 52 seconds in the moment, just at 7.5 to go. And back in peloton, that is the important thing. If they continue on riding as they have been for the past kilometres, well, then this advantage should hold up for quite a long time further.
Well, this is fascinating. Louis Meintjes is in the pack. His team have just come up to the side, and well, there's been some very, very tired legs out there, and they're going to be even more tired at the end. That's Antoine Dechaine of Europcar, a team that's in trouble. Is Steve Cummings in trouble at the moment? His only problem is the heat, I guess, and just the fact that he's got to pace himself. 53 seconds. As the pack start looking at each other, Sean, it's getting it's playing into Cummings' hands, and he's up the road at the moment. It's a decent margin.
Yes, well, it's working out quite well for him. You know, the peloton is not, and no team really taking it up and pushing on, but again, I think everybody is tired. When you look at the back of the peloton here, those riders starting to suffer, and you know, they're losing contact. That tells that the effects of the warm weather, the long stage today, it's starting to hit people, and I think also on the front of the peloton, that is the problem. A lot of tired riders, so some of the teams are saying, look, you know, there's nobody danger for general classification out there. Why, you know, commit and use up your power for today's stage, thinking of tomorrow? It's, you know, a major stage for the general classification men, and you can see they're very much grouped together as we go through there. That's looking real good for the men out in front. Looks
terrific for Steve Cummings. Now he's got at this point he will take a sort of a lazy right-hander, introducing him to the 5Ks to go. They'll come off this highway fairly soon, or he will, and he'll be on his own. I think Brian Smith just spat the kebab. He'll be watching this over in Turkey. 5.9 kilometres, and that's what we're dealing with. This is where we're heading to. It doesn't look that bad. Well, the mountain's behind you. We're not going up there, but we're heading up to town. Our destination today, Sierra de Cazorla, the sun mentioned in the town name, and it's been beating down upon them all day, beating out of rhythm. Everyone else dancing to his tune, potentially, is our friend Steve-O. Can he deliver? He's just keeping his head down. He's doing exactly the right thing. He won, don't forget, from a breakaway in the Vuelta back in 2012. He's absolutely rocketing at the moment in terms of our consideration of the 34-year-old. It's great to see a Brit just imposing himself on days such as this. He did it in the Tour de France. As we mentioned, he's done it in the Vuelta. Is he going to do it again today, Sean? Well, it's still looking good. 48 seconds with 5.4 to go. The difficult section now will be that final 3 kilometres, and we've talked about the percentage. It looks like it's a bit steeper than we have been thinking it was, and that is always majorly difficult when you're out in front for the number of kilometres in the final, being out there on the breakaway for a long time today, then going out 10 plus kilometres to the finish and time trialling as we go to the 5 kilometres, 47 seconds. It is going to be difficult because we can see on the front of the main pack of riders there's a lot of teams starting to come, and there'll surely be a team who will try and push on, thinking of a stage victory. Teams who haven't got maybe a guy to do something in the general classification but could do on a stage like today, have a go for stage victory, they will be the ones, they will cause the danger for the Steve Cummings, the man out in front. 41 seconds is what he's got with 5 to go, so he has a straight section still, but we're already climbing. He'll just go downhill from about 4.7 k's out, so he's got about another 150 metres before he goes down on a downhill ramp to 3 k's from home. And then there's the nasty kick in the pants, and we hope he can bridge it all the way. Always love to see, not just because he's a Brit, but you just like to see people playing with the day and playing with everyone else. Psychological games from Peter Sagan right now. I don't know. There was a time when Peter Sagan would have taken on a day like this. Absolutely no problem at all. But he's been putting in a lot of work, almost can't help himself. And to be honest, whenever he's tempted, you stick a carrot out there, and Sagan turns out to the ultimate chomper and just goes for it. He's got a stage win. He took one into Malaga. Very different stage than to today. on some of the uphill ramps, he has been found out. Caleb Ewan yesterday beat both Degenkolb and Sagan. Sagan, of course, behind Valverde on that testy stage 4. Will he want a piece of today, Sagan, or is he working for others?
Well, he is staying up there, but we can see also Rafa Majka is very much close to the front of the peloton as well. But Sagan, I think he will just follow and see what happens. At the moment, he looks to be comfortable enough, and Sagan can do this sort of finish. And I think the form he's showing at this moment in this race, the last number of days, he seemed to be in excellent form. In the Tour of France, we did see in the Alpine stages, he was in the breakaway for 3 days in succession, and big mountain days, he can do that. And as a sprinter, he have an advantage if he can get anywhere near the finish with the leading group. Well, then in the sprint, of course, he always has a big chance of taking another stage victory.
Look at the Wrestle for Row position. This man can pick all his lines. He's on that descent we were telling you about, and this goes on for quite some time. He's a good descender, as you can see, and the cameraman doing favours for MTN Quebec all over his bike, just checking out exactly what kit he's got. Right now, that's not of concern. You can see he's just glistening in the sunshine. He's put in an awful lot of sweat, blood, sweat and tears, you might say. Well, let's hope it's not tears for Cummings as he comes down. He will take the bounce in about 300 metres time, and then he starts climbing. It's the toughest section. Then he's got a bit of respite, and then it gets technical. He's not bothered about technical. He's not bothered about the plateau. He's bothered about the climb, surely. Big steam into town. That might catch out a few as well. And here we go. Suddenly he is onto it, and this is going to start to hurt. He takes a drink, he gets rid. He wants to be as light as possible, and look at the urgency behind Sean.
Yes, and we can see 20 seconds advantage for Steve Cummings at the moment, and the front of the peloton going at a real fast rate. This corner is going to be a bit of a technical one as well, but it's going to be very difficult.
Chavez in P2, there he is wearing the white leaders jersey, looks almost identical to his normal kit, getting involved as well, and just thinking about screaming up this one is Cofidis looking for Danny Navarro. I'll be bound as they take on the incline. 18 seconds. What's Steve-O got? Has he got any more to pour onto this little incline that must feel like an alpine test right now? 15 seconds with 2.4 kilometres to go. It looks like it's going to be heartbreak for him, because so many have got an interest, not least Orica Greenedge, who want that red jersey back on the back of Chavez.
Yes, we can see there Orica Greenedge were pushing on big time, and Chavez very much to the fore here. And of course this sort of finish here is the terrain where he can really do well. We can see him here right on the front at the moment. Is he going to try and push on alone with just 2.3 kilometres to go? It's a long one. We can see there that Movistar also going to continue on setting the pace. I don't think Chavez will continue his effort, because Movistar will not allow him to ride off out of the front of the peloton.
Well, the main effort is right now. It's on this incline, 15%. You can see the way the buildings have been. Look at the way the land sheets away from us backwards. He's over the top right now. Sagan's been found out. He's put a lot in to the last few days, and so has Chavez, and away he goes. He's on full attack mode right now, and there's Steve Cummings. He's going to sail by him as he comes up to this incline, and listen to the roar of approval, and he's still on the 60. Oh, look at that, almost to a standstill, Cummings. That is a heartbreaker, but this man has got it's short of stature but big of heart, as you can see, and Chavez is going for it. He's Mr. Smiley. Will he be smiling at the end of today? There's the red jersey of Tom Dumoulin staying close, but this is a big gap, and it's big enough to wrestle back the red jersey, Sean.
Yes, well, we can see there it's giant Alpecin who's pushing the pace with Craddock, and the rest of the big favourites just waiting. Still 2 kilometres to go. It's a long ways considering the gradient here, and surprising to see the man who was in the race leaders jersey to go at this point, because Chavez, I feel that he could match anybody in the final, but again he is looking real good here. A big attack from him.
Got 11 seconds. Giant driving into this one, and maybe this is for Tom Dumoulin. He's wearing the red jersey. He's about P5 at the moment. You see BMC also involved and with an option. Sammy Sanchez may well have been your choice today. TJ Van Garderen as well, if he's feeling better. And here goes Tom Dumoulin. He's on that section where it flattens out. Now this is where he can drive into it. This is our leader trying to hold on to the lead's jersey. 1 second is the gap between himself and Chavez. What a great punch up we've got and Tom Dumoulin means this. 1,600 metres to go. Can he bridge over 12 seconds on the flatter section, Sean?
Well, I think he can bridge that across, and it's amazing, this guy, race leader, you go in the attack, it's not often you see that, and he is very confident, and on the section where he can really power along, and that is his forte point. On the flatter sections he can push that big gear, and it's looking like that he's going to ride away from the others. But again, we can see a lot of the favourites were looking at each other, so he decided to just get out of this group and try and chase down Chavez.
Our early contenders, Chavez and Dumoulin. Dumoulin is trying to bridge to the individual time trial on stage 17. Chavez, he wants the jersey back right now. He's not sure how long he's going to keep hold of it. Well, it may well be that he gets it back today. He's got 1,200 metres, less than that right now. There's Tom Dumoulin. He's failed to bridge during the flat section, and now it gets a little bit technical. It starts to weave and turn as we come into town. Road doesn't get so good, and others, I think it's Micah is having a go right now, want a piece of the day. There is Valverde. Perito Rodriguez is also here, and so is Louis Mainkeys. Could he possibly get himself a third place today and get on the podium? Who knows? Aru's also getting involved, and so is Rosa. Goodness me, 900 metres to go, and suddenly they're starting to break out, and there goes Dan Martin. He's having a kick-off today. Why not? Enjoy the fun if you can have some at the end of 200 kilometres, for goodness sake. Tom Dumoulin doesn't look like he's having any fun at all at the moment, and he's not bridging the gap with one to go, as he's 200 metres ahead of these guys. What a battle.
Yes, what a battle, and we can see Tom Dumoulin just in no man's land at the moment, still that 14 seconds down on Chavez out in front, and Chavez is putting in a big strong ride, and we can see here Dan Martin is the one who is just starting to ride away at the moment. But is it again too late? Because at this point we can see our leader there, he's getting close to the 600 metres to go mark.
Just about everyone else, it seems, content with the way this day is going to pan out. Some might have a go, maybe Ruben Plaza, the Spaniard. I think it's him that's having a look right now, as Tom Dumoulin has a big look behind him. And what does he see? Dan Martin wrestling all over the bike, rock and roll, as you can see. 500 metres to go though for Esteban Chavez of Orica Green Edge, and it looks like he's going to take the jersey back. Tom Dumoulin, brave as he is not going to be there, I don't think. 500 metres as we start to turn, twist and turn. There's plenty of more of these to come, by the way. It crammed into 500 metres, and Nico is it that's going to have a go right now. Nico Roche just stretches his legs as well, not to be denied. He sees one Irishman go up the road and thinks, why not? Why shouldn't I be involved, as I was a couple of days ago? 23 seconds now. I think Chavez has got this in the bag. Not only that, I think he's going to be wearing red at the end of the day, and by right, Sean.
Yes, well, by right. He went in the attack early, wasn't afraid to put in an attack a long ways out, and it looked like it was going to be very difficult for him, but he could see, and it's continued, the big favourites, they are looking at each other a lot, and that's the reason we have Dan Martin get out of the group. We have seen Nicholas Rhodes trying to get away there with Valverde and Joaquim Rodriguez on tow, but Chavez is putting a powerful performance here.
They are beating the hoardings here. It's a cacophony of sounds, but the biggest call of all is the name of Chavez. It's ringing back down the mountains, and with just desserts, this man is going to take the day. He's going to take it here amongst the crowds. He's enormously popular. Many of you will be delighted to see him back in red, and so it is that it comes to pass. Passing Dumoulin, Dan Martin takes second. Dumoulin, very, very brave third place today. They have had a real punch up out there. There comes Froome across the line as well, and finding a gap back to Aru as the clock rolls back almost cruelly on everyone today. What a day we've had. What a day of racing. The Vuelta, it always throws up the entertainment, and we have been royally entertained on this run-up today to Sierra de la Cazorla. Sean, a long day, a passionate day as well, and a great day for Orica Green Edge and the smiley man, Chavez.
Yes, well, what a performance by Chavez, and you could see there, everybody just struggling to get to the line, gaps appearing everywhere, and Chavez definitely, chapeau performance that he put in there in that final. To go away on your own when you're in that sort of company, that takes confidence, and he certainly had that. And we could see Dan Martin getting very close once again, just getting out a little bit too late out of the main peloton, but closing very quickly on Chavez, because he had a much bigger lead when Dan Martin did hit out. And what a ride by Tom Dumoulin as well, you know, going out alone there and holding off and just losing the jersey by very little in the end.
Very little indeed. Don't forget, this man is a time trialist, badges himself up as that. Chavez takes it ahead of Dan Martin, Tom Dumoulin in third place, Roman Plaza, Valverde, Rodriguez, Chris Froome in seventh place, Micah Quintana and Roche, Nicolas Roche. There you are. The big names are starting to come to the fore. Big climbing day tomorrow as well. But how well will Esteban Chavez do when the real proper Alpine tests essentially kick in? Frankly, I believe anything after today. Why shouldn't he be equal to some of the bigger names, Sean?
Well, I think he is on excellent form the way he's performing in this race, and you know, to do that today there you have to be really strong, because you know there was quite a push behind, not a big attack from the big favourite, but still there was always a good pace being set. And Chavez, of course, the question is a big 2 or 3 weeks. That is the question: will he last that distance?
Will he? Can he? Well, you'll just have to stay with us to find out. We're 6 stages in, a week gets rounded out tomorrow, and there's still, after that, cruelly so, 3 days of racing before the first rest day. It is punishing. Yes,
it is punishing, and what a performance Australian Orica Green Edge team is having. 3 stage victories already, back in race leadership.
Chavez invoking the Almighty as he crosses the line. It was a mighty performance by the little guy today. Chavez taking it ahead of Dan Martin. These are the official results now. Tom Dumoulin goes into the white combined jersey then, after today. Plaza, Valverde, Rodriguez, Froome, Micah, Quintana, Roche. We're seeing some very familiar names there, Sean.
Yes, well, the names you would be expecting to see at the finish today, they're up there, but still losing a little bit of time there. You know, the big favourites 11 seconds down. The question is, Aru, he's not in the top 10 there. Did he lose a bit more? And I'm sure that there's some of the guys who've lost a little bit more time here, and when you consider today's stage with what's on the menu for tomorrow, we will see bigger time losses again.
Indeed, as Sean says, tomorrow is, I think, going to be the first hammer blow for those who've been suffering so far. We'll get to a week of racing. We'll have our recrowned intermediate leader, Esteban Chavez. The battle between him and Tom Dumoulin has been exceptional, hasn't it? It's really been entertaining this opening 6 days.
Well, you would expect Chavez, you know, to be up there today. Tom Dumoulin in the company and the terrain today. He's confirming that, you know, he is becoming an excellent all-rounder, a great climber. We did mention this year, Tour of Switzerland, he was climbing real good. Unfortunately, the Tour of France crashing out on day 3, but back to his best, certainly.
Wouldn't be surprised to see Tom Dumoulin get a top 10 finish at the end of this Vuelta. Here's how we shape up. Chavez is the leader. He has a 10-second margin over Tom Dumoulin. Dan Martin in third place ahead of Nico Roche. Valverde 5th. Froome, Moreno, Rodriguez, Quintana, Aru. Aru a minute and 12 down, so shipping 17 seconds to Chris Froome. That's the advantage Froome has over Aru. If those are the men you've tagged for glory late on, don't count out Chavez. After this performance, well, anything can happen, and we've seen surprises on the Vuelta before, Sean. We cast our mind back to Chris Horner, of course.
Yes, well, it does throw up surprises, and it has done on a number of occasions. Now we start to ask ourselves, is, you know, Chavez a serious contender for a place in the general classification? I think 3 weeks is a big ask for him. You know, we haven't seen him in that sort of company over that distance before.
We've been so lucky with the weather. The sun has been shining down upon us, and of course the bright and lovely smiles of Ashley and Juan Antonio will be joining us after the break, and they'll be absolutely delighted, of course, that Esteban Chavez, who they'll be putting their arm around, has done the job for us again. We'll join them in a few moments' time. Thank you for your company on what has been a fantastic day. Chavez supreme, Martin close, Dumoulin as brave and as effective as ever, and you just see the main contenders stalking each other still. We'll take a break. We'll be back with Juan Antonio and his thoughts on the day, and Ashley after this.